It's my pleasure and honor to be here this morning to welcome you. And as I walked out from behind the stage, I was hoping the band was done. I just had this fear of coming out and then they were just ready to start their next number. But could you join me in a round of applause for that wonderful performance? And on that note, I would like to take a moment to thank the following individuals who helped pull that off for this morning, in addition to all of the band members, of course. David Elmhurst, Don Krubsack, Daniel Tewalt, and Allison Hazeman. The percussion instructors, Joel Alexander and Michael Peterson, and drum majors, Nicole Brua, Hannah Emmons, and Andrew Heens. Again, a round of applause for those folks. You know, our band is just one example of the many groups that have been very involved and engaged in activities for the last couple of weeks already. And their skill level and talent is indicative of the great work that our staff, our coaches, our advisors, all of our performing arts staff, the incredible work that they do with our young people to perform at such high levels. So we're very, very fortunate. During this fall, we've had about 1,000 individuals who are involved, our high school students, and involved in some type of a fall co-curricular activity. So we're in very involved student body at our high school and throughout the district. And those of you who are new to the district will soon learn, like those who have been with us for a number of years, how incredibly talented our students are, how supportive our families are, and what a wonderful community we have that comes together to form this great organization we call Wayzata Public Schools. So we're very thankful for their efforts this morning, and I really want to welcome you back. It's really time to get back to work. Now, I know you might be thinking, I'm not so sure about that, Anderson. I'm not sure I'm quite there yet. But this place is a lot more fun when you're here and when our students are here and when our community gets engaged in their learning and in all of the activities that occur. So we're just really happy to invite or to have you back. And our theme for the morning is to focus on what it means to be true blue Wayzata. And on that note, for this morning's program, part of what we know it means is please let us get ready for our students. And we're going to move through our program this morning in a crisp pace, relatively crisp anyway, and give you opportunity to get back to your buildings and work with your principals and your colleagues and get ready for open houses and all the other things that are happening this week. Another thing that I would like to do just briefly is to thank our Central Middle School hosts this morning, Clark and Jenny and team, for their welcoming gestures and getting the facility ready for us this morning. So if you could join me in a round of applause for the Central team. As you're probably aware, this is our second year of doing this program at Central. Our high school has been under a great amount of construction, in case you weren't aware of that. I'll share a few photos here in a little while to give you a glimpse into the inside of the building, as well as some of the external new features and facilities that we've been building. I would anticipate that unless there are unforeseen circumstances, we will be back at Wayzata High School for this event next year. And all of you probably will have a chance prior to then to check out the new facility, but if not, during the course of this year, you'll for sure get that chance next year. I would also like to just say thank you to all of those individuals who may feel like they never really left because they were here all summer. And those folks include principals and their summer staff, community education and special services staff, our buildings and grounds and maintenance personnel, Culinary Express for all of their summer prep work, and hey, how about that breakfast this morning? Can we give them a round of applause? They helped to coordinate all of the logistics and worked in cooperation with Tim from Chris Cakes. I hope you all enjoyed your flying pancakes and the sausage. I noticed a slight scent of pancakes and sausages on my sport coat when I walked in on the stage. I should probably look to see if any critters followed me in, but hopefully the varmints and critters did not follow me in. But I hope you enjoyed that, and it was just really a great gathering opportunity. I'd also like to thank all of our district administrative staff for ordering the supplies and checking them off and hopefully getting them to the right classrooms. And I guess this year we'd have to say the right buildings because there has been quite a bit of movement around the district, as you're well aware. And I just really want to say thanks. So if you could join me in a round of applause for all those folks that worked so hard this summer. And that's the slide I want. Thanks, Andrew. You're doing a great job down there. We talked about, should I get my little switcher, but I'm not sure it works so well from up here. So Andrew will be doing the duty for me today. In front of you, you see a list of all of the things that have happened in the past year. I think a year ago when we were standing here and we were assembled here in late August, we had a lot of really good work in front of us, and much of that work has been completed. You can see the list there, school start times, attendance areas, a new elementary school, Wayzata High School expansion, a new early learning school, Central Middle School expansion, remodeling, and a number of infrastructure improvements in many, if not all, of your buildings or facilities. And then finally, we can't overlook that despite all of that, excellence in student learning occurred. Students at all levels, whether there are early learners at the early learning school or in our other programs in the district, or our K through 12 learners, hats off to all of you for the wonderful work that you've done and everything you did to help them grow and progress and take that next step toward their futures. Greatly appreciated, and I'm sure, although they won't admit it, most of the students are probably looking forward to the start of school next week as well. And I know that you'll all be there to welcome them. So really quite a comprehensive list. So just to share a few of the highlights of some things that have happened with the construction. So you might remember a year ago we had a little video with me in a trench and a backhoe, and I, to this day, feel fortunate that the backhoe didn't make a misstep and take me out in the trenches at Meadow Ridge. But it looked somewhat like that, probably not in August. That's probably more of a June or a July photo. But clearly, and I'm not sure how well the photo of Meadow Ridge shows up to all of you in the audience, but it's just an absolutely beautiful building. If you haven't had a chance to zip by it up on County Road 47, you may want to do that sometime and catch a glimpse of it. It's still in progress, but it'll be ready next Tuesday for the most part for students. The staff and Karen will be glad to know that. And it just turned out beautiful, and the houses are cropping up quickly around there. A few photos from inside. The photo on the left is the general office area, and on the right is the media center. And something that's been really fun during the course of this construction is on a weekly basis I've tried to get into the buildings and take a look and take some photos. And eventually it starts looking like the architectural renderings, which is good to know. They should. But they really did. It's like, oh my gosh, there's that media center. I remember seeing that picture about 18 months ago. So that gives you a couple shots. I think there may be a couple more here from Meadow Ridge. Am I done already? I didn't think it was going to be that short. Clark, we didn't deactivate the bells, but I'm glad to know they're working. That's a good thing. So here's a photo of one classroom. Whoever this is, they probably recognize it. And then the common area to the right. Called, I don't know if it's flex space or what Karen and the team are calling it, but again, some spillover space in the adjacent hallway areas for additional instruction and passing time, et cetera, to occur. Gymnasium and cafeteria, again, probably not much more explanation needed there, but if nothing else, this serves as a testimonial that the building is near completion and ready for students next week. And I think the next slides are a few from the high school. One thing that stood out for me on this photo to the left is how well the new building blends in with the old one, which again, really shouldn't and hopefully wouldn't come as a big surprise. I'll see if I can point out, see if my pointer works up here. Right here is the new part of the building all the way over. So you can see how well they blended it in with the existing building. This portion here is on the back side. It's a little bit hard to see maybe, but this is the cafeteria glass wall. new weight room, new gymnasiums on the kind of the northeast side of the building. Next slide, please. This is an interior view of the expansion of the cafeteria. Again, much needed space and a way better thoroughfare through the cafeteria. So hopefully students trying to get to their Phi Ed class will no longer have to walk right through the serving lines to get to the gymnasium. And any kitchen staff that may be here from the high school or lunchroom supervisors know exactly what I'm talking about. And then one other portion of the maybe go back. In the cafeteria, this is, if you go down this hallway, you get down to the athletic office area. It's hard to see on this visual, but there's a walk-in Trojan attire shop, if you will, where T-shirts. The student council, I think, is probably going to be working with that, and maybe other student groups. And then a new concession area. And that is found if you go way back around the corner and back on the other side of this area. Next slide shows the new turf fields, 3 contiguous turf fields up on, I think it might be like hole 2 and 3 of the old Elm Creek Golf Course, but it's been converted now to athletic fields for us. The soccer team and football team and probably others have been up there already. New gymnasium. Next slide will show some classrooms and a common space, kind of that same concept as at Meadow Ridge. It's looking pretty settled. This is a photo of the theater, new band room, right in this area, some additional music space. Theater's over here. This is the theater lobby. So for those of you that recall the old lobby where, hands by the side was a good idea and you kind of work your way through, we will have elbow room. It'll be wonderful. You'll love it. This slide shows the glass front of the commons in front of the theaters and then a commons entrance. This will be one of the main student entrances. This is an enlarged version of what this is right here, just to kind of give you a visual for it. Next slide shows another one of our new facilities that we moved into mid-year. All the early learning school staff that are here, again, kudos and hats off to you for pulling off something nearly the impossible. Moving mid-year is no easy task, and they could attest to that. Next slide shows this beautiful mural that one of our staff members at the Early Learning School did, and it's just really a beautiful rendition. It's worth the trip over to take a look if you want to see this live. I don't think the photo does it justice, but a very welcoming, friendly feel as you walk into the larger facility. And then the next slide, when I looked into this room, I was out doing surveillance work early yesterday morning, and I walked into this room and I thought, I think I want to go be an early learner in this school. It looks so fun. Look at all the wonderful learning equipment and supplies, and it just must be a wonderful experience for the children in those rooms during the day. The next slide is kind of moving into a little bit of the overview. You'll probably be glad to know that since last year, we have not changed our mission. We have not changed our vision. There's a good reason for that, a couple reasons. One, you shouldn't do that every year or even too frequently, and they're pretty good. We continue to stand for excellence for each and every student. That's sort of the short Reader's Digest version of our mission, if you will. And it really is another way to define what True Blue Wayzata means, is that each and every day we do our very best to reach out and help every one of our students to be better at the end of the day than they were at the beginning. Our vision still stands on these 3 major platforms: exceptional student learning experiences and relationships, the focus on community trust, confidence, and partnership, which is off the charts right now, and I give the credit for that to you, for the daily interactions that you have with the kids and their families, and for everything that you bring to this community through those daily engagements. Those little children and young adults in your classrooms are wonderful messengers to take home what they see and experience every day in your classrooms and in the schools and programs that you work with, and I thank you for that. It's something that we can't take lightly, and we need to cherish and protect that always. And then finally, this focus on operational excellence, which is always striving to hit that sweet spot of efficiency and effectiveness so that we utilize our resources wisely and we ensure that all that we do is effective and helps us always to deliver an outstanding program. The next slide is an overview of our 6 core values: achievement, collaboration, community, equity, integrity, and respect. And those are the values that we hold as we do our work. It's daily reminders of key areas that we continue to need to keep our focus on. And then finally, our strategic directions. We have 4 of them, and again, you'll be glad to know that we haven't changed these since a year ago. Achievement in each and every, and I'll just make a brief comment about each one, but the achievement focus really is on where are our students at by the end of 3rd grade. And the research is pretty compelling that for students that are on track at 3rd grade in their reading and mathematics skills, they have a really good foundation to continue to enjoy success. During the late spring and summer months, a number of our teaching staff and administrative staff came together and did a lot of really great work on this, which is in the process of being consolidated and streamlined for additional work early in the fall. So those of you in the room, and there are maybe 25, 30, or 40 of you that were engaged in one piece of that or another, you might expect that I'll be connecting up to give you an update on that and seek some folks to come in and help us bring more specificity to that. The next, our ongoing challenge and goal of narrowing the achievement gap and eliminating the achievement gap. We continue to have work to do in this regard, and we are focused on this and plan to continue to do everything we can with every aspect of the learning experience that can help us as we seek to close our achievement gap. Next, personalization is an ongoing focus. We do that each and every day. You do that in your classrooms by simply reaching out and making those relationships, gaining that clear understanding of who this child is or the student is in my class, and what is it that they need today and this week and this month and from this class or from this school year. Those are the things that we always need to keep in mind. That one-on-one relationship and that personalization. Even though we're a relatively large organization and we have relatively larger schools, we really need to continue to strive to have that personal touch. And then finally, health and well-being. Really that opportunity to have students feel a sense of belonging and connection. And I think this will perhaps be the next strategic direction that we work really hard to bring some additional detail to, and with some specific action steps and district approaches. The next slide, I have no idea what it is. True Blue. So as I've mentioned, our theme for the day is True Blue. And there are some indicators of one aspect of it that I've called loyalty. There's incredible loyalty to this school district. The alumni are extremely proud of this school district. Several come back to raise their own families here. We have multiple generations of Wayzata graduates that live in our community, and in a little bit you'll have an opportunity to be introduced to one of those families in a brief video that we're going to show. And to that second point, this generational family support, legacy, if you will, of wanting to be a part of this great community. Generous support of our operating and capital referenda. You may recall that we passed our $110 million capital referendum a couple years ago with nearly an 80% passage rate, which is off the charts and, again, a great indicator of the support in our community. And then continuing to be a school district of choice. Part of our vision statement is to be attractive not only locally but nationally and internationally. And believe me, we must be, because they keep moving in, and that's a good thing. It's a challenging aspect of our community and our organization right now, but it's really a great place to be. On the next slide, just a general statement that I put in here. I think another thing about being True Blue Wayzata is just this general concept of understated excellence. I shared with our new teachers last week that we don't spend a lot of time running around drawing a lot of attention to ourselves and banging our own drum and blowing our trumpets and getting everybody to pay attention to us. We just go about being excellent. And I think that's why we get that tremendous loyalty from our community and why we have the incredible reputation we do with the city governments and our home builders and our realtors. They see it, and they see you in action, and they see the work that you're doing. And that makes people want to live here. And again, that's creating the great challenge we have, but it's also a gift that is one to be cherished. And the next slide is a great organization, a great public school district has a school board. And we have a true blue school board. They are here this morning, and our school board chair, Chris McCullough, is queued up and ready to share a few comments with you. And as he makes his way to the stage, I would just share the important work that they do and a lot of the behind-the-scenes work. It's more than showing up for a couple of board meetings a month. They are on committees, they're out in the community, and they just do tremendous work with promoting the school district, ensuring that we have adequate resources, and they're really wonderful ambassadors and messengers in our community. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Chris McCullough, our board chair.
I even wore as much true blue as I possibly could. So without the tie, I have the shirt and the suit. First of all, thank you, Chase. Thank you, first of all, for following the band, so I didn't have to. That's a tough act to follow. I'm going to go a little off script here. Chase had put up on the presentation a number of people that he'd like to thank. I'd like to thank Chase for his leadership. You didn't see his name up there, but obviously he does an amazing job for us every day, providing excellence for each and every student. So thank you. So as Chase said, he asked me to share a few remarks about what this year's theme, True Blue, means to me as a board member and also as a parent. To me, True Blue is about caring and commitment. It means caring about and being committed to making sure that we all provide excellence for each and every student and that we do this every day. People are what make True Blue happen here in the Wayzata schools. And True Blue is everywhere. It's in our classrooms, it's in our teachers' lounges, it's in our auditoriums, on our fields and in our courts, and in our meeting rooms. As a board member, when I think of True Blue, I think of my school board colleagues who are seated here in the front row with us this morning. Here is a group of people that are incredibly committed to serving this district in so many ways, even serving pancakes at 6:15 a.m. this morning. Thank you very much, Cheryl and Andrea, for letting me sleep in a little bit. So I'd like to introduce my school board colleagues here. I'm going to make them stand up and turn around and wave to everybody. So I'll start with Andrea Keene, Linda Cohen, Cheryl Polzine, Benita Lucky, Eric Brown, and Sarah Johansson. Thank you to all of you. I'm greatly honored to serve with you. So, as a parent, the best way I can explain what True Blue means to me is by telling some embarrassing stories about my daughters who are not here to defend themselves. They can't be here to check the details either, and in fact, a couple of the other characters in the stories I'm about to share aren't here to defend themselves either, so here it goes. As some of you know, I have two daughters. Lauren will be a sophomore at the high school, and Caroline will be a freshman at the high school this year. When Caroline was a second grader at Birchview, she was celebrating a birthday. And as part of Birchview's birthday tradition, Dr. Cook, the principal at the time, serenaded each student with a lovely rendition of Happy Birthday and gave each student a pencil. He kept that pencil in his front shirt pocket or suit pocket, as the case may be. So as my daughter Caroline tells it, Dr. Cook was doing his typical wonderful job of singing the first few lines of Happy Birthday. But when he reached the end of the song, the happy birthday, dear Caroline part, happy birthday to you part, he reached into his pocket and no pencil. So rather than panic or just finish up the song and leave and be on his way, he raised his finger up to indicate a pause, ran out of the room, down the hall, to his office, fetched a pencil, ran all the way back to the classroom, and finished Happy Birthday to Caroline and handed her a pencil. It made her day, obviously. And from my perspective as a parent, certainly from Caroline's as a student, that was a true blue moment. When my older daughter, Lauren, was in 6th grade at East Middle School, she received a prestigious Trojan Pride Award from Mr. Snuggerud, her science teacher. I was so proud of her. I came home from work, and there was the award sitting on the kitchen table. When I asked Lauren what she did to deserve such an incredible award, I was thinking maybe she rescued somebody from a sledding mishap on the hills around East Middle School. She paused and looked at me and said, "Dad, I got sneezed on." As you can imagine, I was a little bit surprised by this. So when I asked her what happened, she calmly said that one of the students at her science table took a huge sip of water at about the same time he had to sneeze. So you can probably figure out what happened next. Mr. Snuggerud was apparently impressed with the way Lauren handled the situation, probably mostly because of what she didn't do to retaliate, and he gave her the award. So, of course, for Lauren, the award itself didn't mean that much. What mattered to her was what Mr. Snuggerud wrote on the back of the award. And what he wrote was that Lauren could skip to the front of the lunch line every day for an entire week, which for a 6th grader in middle school is pretty cool. So I realize that these are just funny examples of things that happen to my daughters here in the Wayzata schools, but these are the types of experiences that they remember and they laugh about all these years later. And we remember the stories as a family because they're funny, but we also remember them because a principal and a teacher did a really cool thing, a really caring thing, and from my perspective, a really true blue thing. It made my daughter's experiences very special. So as you all leave here today, think a little bit about what true blue means to you and how you can demonstrate it each day. It doesn't have to mean the same thing to everybody, and it doesn't even have to be anything really, really big. It just has to be something special, something unique, even something fun that you can all do to make somebody's day a little bit brighter. So thank you to all of you for all of you've done for the Wayzata schools, and thank you in advance for all that you will do. And have a great school year.
Thank you, Chris, and again, to all of our board members positioned down here in front of me, thank you so much for all that you give selflessly to the school district to help make us a great place. I could probably also share a couple of stories about my own kids, because as most of you know, I'm a dad in the district too. So last year I can say that, so maybe that's will make everyone happy. But for those of you that have had my kids, no, I hope they haven't been too bad. My son Paul graduated in 2013, and my daughter Emily will graduate next spring. And I too, without getting into specific funny and fun stories about my own kids' experiences here, on behalf of my wife Barb and I would just say thank you to all of you who have helped shape them, and for all of the true blue moments that you gave to them when they were in your class or in your school or in your programs. They're better for it. And I have one who has told me that he was very well prepared for that next step, and I'm confident that number two will say that as well. But so I wanted to take one final opportunity at this event to say thank you as a current dad. I'll always be a former dad here, but it's been a great experience for my own family, and I greatly appreciate it, and I want to thank you. At this time, before we move on to our service awards, we have some distinguished guests this morning, musicians from our high school string quartet. I'd like to invite them to come up and position themselves. Before you start playing, wait for my little cue, but you can come up, and we'll get them positioned. Our guests this morning are Annika Seeger, Rachel Weifels, Grace Sagong, Mina Yuen, and they are under the direction of Mark Gitch, our Wayzata High School Orchestra Director. If you'd give them a round of applause. Thanks again for being here. Just give me 1 minute. I have, even though it's kind of dark in here, a tradition that we started a few years back was to recognize years of service, combined years of service, if you will. We hire teachers who come to work with us, some right from college, and it's their first teaching experience. And we also have a number of others who join us with multiple years of experience in one or more school districts. So one of our traditions has been to ask those who have a collective 20 to 24 years of educational experience, if you could please stand. And I can't see you from up here that well, but maybe your peers and colleagues can, or it looks like the house lights are coming up a little bit. So would you please stand if you're in that group, 20 to 24. And the next group would be those who have collectively served 25 to 29 years in the educational field. And finally, if you've served for more than 30 or more years, if you could stand, and I too am in this group, 30 or more years, please stand. Thank you for your Wayzata years of service, and thank you for bringing your talents from the other school districts and organizations that you may have worked for. And I shared this, I think, with the new teachers as well, and particularly for those that are 22 or 23 and right out of college and into their first experience. I think everybody that just stood would say, I can't believe how fast it went. And it really does. So enjoy every moment, every journey, true blue moment that you have here with us, because every day is a gift and living the dream, as they say, and it does really scamper by quickly. So thank you again for your participation with that. At this time, I'd like to invite Annie Doty to the stage, as well as Andrea Keene, Benita Lucky, and Eric Brown, our three board members who will help with the 20-year recipients. And as you know, at this event, we recognize our years of service within the Wayzata Public Schools, and this year we have 33 20-year employees, we have 7 25-year employees, and we have 13 30-year employees. We're going to be recognizing our 20-year employees first, so what I'd like to ask is if you could assemble yourselves kind of over in this area, and you can just get up and move over here now, if you would. And then we will call you up one by one. And while we're giving them a moment to assemble, I'd give my distinguished musicians the cue to begin with their music. So our first 20-year recipient, Barb Bizey. And I should mention that not all the recipients were able to be here this morning. Next, Ward Bloomer.
Thank you.
One other announcement I forgot. We're going to keep you all on stage so we can get a photo. Next, Phyllis Bopp. Catherine Breyer. Chris Easton. Jeannie Pfau. Donna Fiedler. Karen Frawley. Jill Freshwaters. Irene Garster. Sarah Goldman. Sean Green. Cindy Hamry. David Jackson. Brennan Jones. Amy Kildall. Debbie Kretz. Brent Lackus. Lisa Landry. Vicki Linden. Ruth McCown. Spencer Morgan. Susie Newman. Jane Panning Miller. Sarah Pinsky Sheck. Rob Remington. Lynn Schroeder. Jamie Sherwood. Megan Spears. Linda Vickery. Cheryl Warzea. Cindy Windsor. And Heather Zenzen. And this is our group of 20-year Wayzata recipients. Our first staff member being recognized for 25 years of service this morning, Mary Arth. Janelle Bowman. Greta Sender Poplet. Sharon Foltz Ringstrom. Deb Slimkowski. Jeff Stark. And Sarah Storvik. This is our group of 25-year employees. Another round of applause for them, please. Our first recipient is Bob Barbconnect. Kathy Brown. Chip Brawford. Nancy Carlson. Tammy Corder. Jody Dilly. Sue Iverson. Marshall Lateral. Deb Mossathan. Shelley Nelson. Donna Peterson. Lisa Rudolph. And Dale Stadema. So this is our group of 30-year employees. Another round of applause for this group. Thank you. So again, I would just really like to thank and show my appreciation for all of our service award recipients this morning. We truly appreciate all that you've done for this organization to help make us who we are today. Your contributions to this wonderful True Blue concept within Wayzata is incredible. If we could all give everyone a round of applause for their service. We saw one example of all of your hard work this morning when the band was here. Example number 2 is off here to our left. Thank you for being here this morning. I'm not sure I'll say this correctly, but I think that's a wrap. Is that right? Thank you. We really appreciate that you're here. So I'd just like to share a couple of really brief comments before we cue up a short video that highlights 2 of our community's families. And I think when you see the video, you'll gain a clearer understanding about this whole idea of True Blue Wayzata. The Wayzata School District is a reflection of the larger Wayzata community, and we are a big part of this community. We're one part of the community, but a very important one. A gathering space for our students and their families, a place for our young people to learn and to grow, both academically and emotionally, and through all of their endeavors that they experience, we contribute to that. Collectively, we help our young people in our community to become those responsible adult citizens, and it's through your efforts and your hard work that makes that happen. As we've seen here today, we have staff that have been with us for decades and others for only a few days. And in a moment, we'll learn more about some experiences of some of our own families and what it is about this organization that they love. Regardless of where families or we are at on our own continuum in our own journey, we all have very important contributions to make, regardless of our positions, regardless of our years of experience or the unique talents that we bring. Collectively, that's what makes it all happen. And I very much want to thank you again for that. And we'll take a brief pause, and I'll make a few closing comments following this video. I think you'll enjoy these two short stories. And at this time, I think Andrew's ready to cue it up.
I'll never forget him either. My name is Dave Rod, and graduated in 1961. Got married when I got out of the Navy, and had these boys, and had our grandkids, and they've stayed and done very well. There's so many memories that in so many ways it is the same community. It may be a lot bigger than it was, but you still feel safe.
30, 40.
It just feels good.
Awesome. All right. The biggest reason I wanted to stay in the community was because of the school district and all the opportunities.
I wouldn't have traded my Wayzata experience, K-12, for anything else. I have a lot of really good memories from elementary school all the way through high school, and I chose to be really involved within school and within the community around the school.
All my closest friends are people that I grew up with, and most of them still live in the area, and kids go to Wayzata.
It really is a testimonial to how important it is to be part of this community.
Very good.
I think it probably all starts with the schools. That's what most people are looking for when they're going to raise a family. That's probably the most important thing. So.
We've only been here a week.
6 days.
I have 3 children, aged 11 and 8 and 2. They have never experienced the English school system, and there's a reason for that. I didn't want them to. I wanted their education experience to be one that's not as rigid. In my mind, I don't just want the school to be great grade-wise. I want it to have a little bit more than that.
And I know that you can find quality public schools in the US, but you have to do the research.
We've never lived in Minnesota. I've never lived in the USA. I've absolutely no idea, so I'm starting from scratch. For us, the school district was priority, and our housing and everything else, our whole entire move was very much dependent on where we want our kids to go to school. And so when we came for like a recce visit in March, I asked to meet with Chase, and that's when I realised, you know, his position and how super busy he would be. And he gave the time to meet with us, and any doubts that we had were immediately kind of deleted from our mind.
It was welcoming, it was warm, it was friendly, it just felt comfortable.
We were like, wow, they do engineering, they do international development. That's something that we've never experienced. That's amazing.
I think we just want them in a position to succeed. You want to put them in a scenario or a framework that allows them to succeed and excel in whatever path they choose to go down. You know, we want them to be confident. We want them to be fearless and seek what they're interested in and their drivers and follow that dream.
And teachers that love teaching.
What number is
As a mom, that's what I want. I want a teacher that comes to school and loves to teach, enjoys it. It all feels good. It all feels like we made the right decision coming here.
Well, there are 2 wonderful stories about what it means to be true blue in Wayzata. And again, I want to thank all of you for your many contributions for that. In closing, I hope you've been reminded about what it means to be true blue Wayzata, where every day is a journey filled with wonderment and surprise. Karen, can I help you with something?
Yo, Chase, I'm gonna let you finish. But Madonna had the best video of all time about True Blue. Hit it. So you just get on the bus, because we're taking this thing home. You ready? Here we go. We've had some trying years, crowded schools, tired students, close to tears. But Chase had a master plan, more space and some sleeping in. Wyzetta's always led the way. Fatigue is here, but not to stay. No matter what we're going through, we'll always be Wyzetta Blue, 'cause it's true blue. That's what keeps us going to all the PD that we do. And we're gonna be true blue, Wyzetta, we love you. They've planned all along. It's the staff who makes Wyzetta strong. Those buses are gonna change their routes. Don't be afraid, 'cause it'll all work out. So if you should ever doubt, start to wonder what we are all about, just think back and remember, dear, strategic plan keeps it oh so clear, 'cause it's true blue. That's what keeps us going to all the PD that we do. And we're gonna be true blue, Wyzetta, we love you. We're true blue. That's what keeps us going to all the PD that we do. And we're gonna be true blue, Wyzetta, we love you. With all these changes, we'll still be the same. We'll work together, our goal will remain. Just keep the chocolate well within view. Don't you know that it's true blue, Wyzetta, 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 true blue, Wyzetta. Yeah, true blue. Yo, Chase, here's your mic back.